Assembly Member Dr. Twycross, cost of living in London.
Thank you, Fiona. The cost of we have got estimates for the cost of living for a family with a range of family types with 2 children, and so you can read across for 3 children. For the 2014 calculation, these range from £396 to £724 per week. Clearly, we've done a lot to try to mitigate those costs and to keep them down, reducing council tax, trying to help with energy costs by retrofitting homes, freezing rail fares in real terms for the last couple of years. We've got all the concessions in London that people don't get elsewhere on public transport, freedom pass for anybody over 60, free travel for kids under 18 in full-time education, free travel for those in search of work, for apprentices, and so on. So we are trying to keep those costs as low as we can, though I appreciate that living in this city is very, very expensive for many people.
Okay, I recently heard about the case of a woman called Georgina. She's a single parent. She's left a violent and abusive husband and is sole carer for 3 children aged between 4 and 10. And not surprisingly, she currently lives on benefits and relies on the support of her friends and family. And 3 years ago, her housing benefit was cut as a result of the newly introduced cap on local housing allowance. And in order to remain close to her support network, which I'm sure you can understand she wanted to do, and manage to juggle her outgoings on the cap, she moved into a 2-bedroom flat for herself and her 3 children at a rent of £330 a week. From August 2013, she was obviously then also subject to the total benefits cap, meaning that after paying her rent and gas and electricity, she was left with just £128 a week to raise her 3 children on, and to pay for everything else. When the government lowers the household benefit cap again, the weekly income for Georgina and people like her will be just £71 a week. Do you think anyone, including yourself obviously, could raise 3 children on just £71 a week? And do you support the lowering of the total benefit cap?
Well, obviously, it's these are very, very tough choices that the country has to make, and the benefit cap is I think has been at £26,000. I believe it's coming down to £23,000, and I think an awful lot of people will look at that and think, well, yes, everybody appreciates that Georgina, the constituency you described, needs to live near her networks, but 23,000 is by many people's standards a lot of money to be receiving, and you've got to do something about housing benefit, and that was a point that was shared by the Labour Party, certainly as we went into the last election, and indeed before. I do appreciate how difficult this issue is, and what I would stress is that the living wage is an important factor in this. It is right that a higher national living wage
to what people will actually be spending the money on. Because with the new cap, I understand that it's estimated that 80% of the money in London is likely to go direct to landlords. So, I mean, one of the issues here is obviously the massive cost of rents in the private sector. Would you agree that it's actually not necessarily just the fault of government in this case then? It's more the fact that you failed to tackle the housing crisis in London during your time as mayor? And do you know how many of the how many people in London are going to be further affected by the benefits cap, over almost around 50% of whom currently are living in London? Have you actually got estimates on how many more people are going to be affected by this, and what more can be done to make sure that people actually aren't even having to get to that level, because it's about costs as well as about expenditure.
I understand.
And I think it's very easy to say that £23,000 sounds like a lot of money, but when you start breaking it down into what people are having to spend, even with all the things that you say you're doing, it's just simply not possible for people to get by in London.
Well, I understand that, but the answer is to, and you talk about the housing crisis. Actually, we've talked about this extensively already this morning. We've built more homes than ever before, and we, as I said just now to Tom, the number of affordable homes being completed this year is the record since 1981. So I don't think you, and the overall number of homes, being built this year is the biggest since that date as well. So there's been what we are seeing is a huge expansion in supply. And that is the only real long-term solution. If what you're suggesting, is going back to rent controls, that argument.
No, I think I've run out of time,
okay,
and I think we'll move on. We'll come back to that another time.
Thank you for that. I'd now like to ask the Assembly